Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Tuesday Q&A live. If you're new to our channel, thank you so much for joining. I'm Emerald Fox, VP of Operations here at Zang Enterprises. Again, if you missed last week, Lynette is still out in Asia. She's currently in Cambodia, and they're doing some traveling, and she got to recently speak at the Nomad Capitalist event in Kuala Lumpur. So we are so excited to hear about that trip. So far, it sounds like it's been a blast and just a wonderful experience. So we're so happy for her. As you know, I could not possibly live up to Lynette's amazing fountain of knowledge, and so I'm going to be able to answer some of your questions to the best of my ability. I am a big part of operations here at Zang Enterprises, but we're going to go through some of your questions. Make sure to drop them in the chat. We're going to start off with some questions that we didn't get to from the chat last week. So if you were there, or if you're you missed the answer to it, then make sure to stay tuned and hopefully we'll get to it today. All right, without further ado, let's dive on in. Okay, so our first question today is from DL Blue 65. And they say, what is the likelihood the strategy is initiated before gold hits fundamental value? The gold investment won't be covering everything we've planned for. Any idea? So from what I'm understanding this question to mean is if you're going to start utilizing the sections of your strategy that you prepped for and that you've already started filling out, as Lynette says, often the fundamental value usually doesn't hit gold doesn't hit its fundamental value until usually around like 3 times in a reset, and we just can't predict that. However, the more that you have planned and the more that you have started to set up, the better off you're going to be. So that's something that we can't make that prediction, and I wouldn't want to make any assumptions. But the earlier you start, the better off you're going to be. All right, next question is Tommy Two Gloves. Lynette, can you briefly explain the tremendous liability of the impending real estate and property tax shortfalls that will soon leave us all facing a complete collapse of the United States monetary system? That's a really big question, and it's just loaded. But I would say that, and Lynette can definitely speak to this a lot more than I can, especially me not being an expert in real estate and not having, I'm not an accountant or a licensed tax advisor, anything like that. So I wouldn't be able to speak on that too much. However, I will say, and I think Lynette would too, that the impending real estate and property tax shortfalls that we're seeing are a key sign to a larger issue in our debt-based monetary system. So I think that's just an additional sign to everything that's going wrong. And any steps that we take to correct those issues are just going to be Band-Aids on that larger scale issue. So we're heading somewhere, and there's really not much we can do to face those issues. At this point, the patterns are where they're at, and I just think that these are just additional signs to the larger problem. I would also say that this is also a sign to make sure that you get, real assets, sound money, to better protect yourself. There are great options for covering real estate as well as your property taxes in the strategy that Lynette built. So if you're wondering about what you can do to protect yourself against those shortfalls, then I would definitely reach out to a strategy specialist here at Zang Enterprise, because Lynette built that strategy to make sure those things are covered. So absolutely give us a call. Zang Enterprises strategy specialists are trained by Lynette, who built that strategy for herself. So absolutely give us a call on that one. All right. Another question from DL Blue 65. Something I think about when you know what hits the fan and the dollar is worthless, how/why will we convert the collectibles back into dollars? I get my mind wrapped into a pretzel. Help me understand. That's a great question. And let's go ahead and start with the how. You can, of course, go to, us, Zang Enterprises, to help you get the conversion back into whatever monetary system we shift into. And that, if it's into dollars or into a tokenized item, whatever we're heading towards, who knows? But at the time of the conversion, that's something that, we keep up on when it's time to do that. But you would go and get a bid. You would get a bid from a, reputable dealer, Zang Enterprises being one, or whoever you purchased it from, you'll likely get your, the highest value for, or go to a local coin store, or pawn shop, etc., somewhere near you if necessary, and get a bid. And you want to go with obviously the highest bid that you can get. And then you would convert into whatever that monetary system is, that currency that we're shifting into. And as far as the why you would do that is because that's how, our government and our systems run, right? We have to operate just like our business here at Zang Enterprises. We have to operate based on what is the legal tender in that nation, wherever you are. So whatever you are utilizing needs to be legal tender, right? So we may protect ourselves in our business with those collectibles. However, we have to have some form of capability to, buy and spend and borrow, etc., with with those around us, with our communities. So absolutely, that's the why. But for now, I would definitely make sure that you've got those collectibles for you. And if you need someone to hold your hand on how to do that and when to do that, that's again what Zang Enterprises is here to help you do. So give us a call. All right. Next question is from GO2 Educate. Hi, Lynette. Deborah from Northern Ireland missed the call from Martin and returned the call a couple of times, but he was unavailable. You had mentioned about having a chat about building a community. Well, hello, Deborah from Northern Ireland. That's awesome. So glad. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will say that I'm not sure when you reached out to Martin, and I apologize that he was unavailable when you gave him a call back. He does have an assistant, so make sure to give them a shout out again. I'm sure he would love to connect with you and definitely talk about the community and getting something set up where you are. We currently don't have anything beyond our socials and our YouTube currently, but you're more than welcome to reach out to us at any time. Donna is Martin's assistant, and Martin actually joined Lynette and some of our team members out in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia for the Nomad Capitalist event. So he may have been wrapped up then if that's when you reached out, but give them a shout out again, and I'm sure they would love to assist you and talk things through with you. Ops Greg says, recommend gold stocks or physical gold only? Such a great question. Now, gold stocks, I want to do a little comparison here. So we've got physical gold that you hold in your possession, private, no counterparty risk, at home or at a private vault, etc. Stocks that are in the market, that are run by, how the market's moving. If the stock market and the fiat dollar crashes, it's stuck in that market. You don't have access to it. So it is subject to, whatever gains or losses happens in that market, and you don't have physical ownership of it. So I would always recommend physical gold. If you are diversifying and you do have gold ETFs, mining stocks, etc., that's an option. But what I would do to make sure that those are protected is get the physical gold to support that should you lose what's in that market. So absolutely, I would definitely say either both or the physical gold only. Next question is from John Killen. He says, I have one piece of gold and one of silver, tools, garden tools, and knowledge of gardening, small greenhouse, carpentry skills. This is great to hear. We are so much more than a gold and silver dealer too. We have our logo itself is a symbol of kintsugi, which is all these different pieces of our mantra, the 8 pieces of our mantra, and it goes so much more beyond the wealth preservation piece. And I would say your next tool that we're missing here is the community piece, right? We need to make sure that those around you are also supported. Use those tools to help others to learn, and what you have, you can share with your community. That is such a big piece, and you're already off to such a great start here. The gold and silver is obviously the best tool for preservation and financial resilience, as well as that like I said, the wealth preservation. But we've got to remember those other pieces. It looks like you've got the food and you tools to help fix things, but what can your community contribute to you that you might be missing beyond that piece? So I would definitely reach out to those around you and see what you can offer and what they can offer you. So there's got to be a trade there.
One of the things that Lynette says all the time, because we get questions in the chat all the time that like, I don't have the capital to buy the precious metals. What can I do? How can I get started? And she says that you don't have to, right? Like what you're saying, just to reinforce that. If you have these tools and this knowledge, go volunteer at, a local farm, an urban farm or whatever. Get to know the people that are growing your food is something that she says all the time. Like you have these tools and these abilities, put it to work so that
Absolutely.
you can be a part of that community and you can thrive. You don't necessarily need the precious metals if you don't have a means to get them, but there's other ways that you can thrive. After the reset. So this is cool. We need more of that for
Absolutely. Sure. And stay tuned, because we're going to be trying to put together more and more of our other pieces of the mantra and make sure that those are fairly represented on our website, to make sure that you guys have the tools and the knowledge you need to get involved in that sense. But again, your next door neighbor, like you just said, Josh, they might have chickens, right? They might not have the gold and silver to barter, but maybe they'll barter eggs with you, and you can barter, some of those greens that you have in your greenhouse, right? So that's the community piece that we, really believe in. So absolutely, you're off to a great start, but let's expand on that and see what we can do to help ourselves, but also others. Alrighty. Our next question is from Lizard King. Lynette, what should I do with silver and gold in my IRA, and when should I move it? Great question. So you have a precious metals IRA, and that is such an awesome, you're already off to a great start. But my question to you is that the best option for you? That's where I would make sure that you reach out to a strategy specialist, because they're going to go through your goals and why maybe you chose a precious metals IRA as opposed to getting precious metals stored safely and securely in your home or a private vault. That's the IRA. You can only hold bullion. Those are the only items that are IRA eligible. And so, should there be a confiscation or, anything like that, you're leaving yourself open to exposure of, possible, not having that. The government is aware of what you have in an IRA. And like Lynette would say, it's designed that way. Right? So if there should ever be some type of confiscation, you're subject to that because they are already aware of what's in there. So I would recommend, if not all of it, maybe let's start with a portion. Let's liquidate it. Let's get it into some collectible gold, some raw, some common dates, some semi-numismatics. Let's look at your strategy and see what your goals are and what you need to protect, and see if it's time to shift out that whole portfolio or maybe keep a fraction of it. It just depends on what's best for you and what you're looking for and what your goals are to protect. Okay, our next question is from Oak Tree. Hi, Emerald. Does Zang Enterprises do international wires if one liquidates in the U.S. from an international location? Let me start with that. She's got a second half, but let's start with the first. So do we do an international wire if one liquidates in the U.S. from? Yes, we do international wires. Absolutely. That's perfectly fine. Next question is, do you foresee any issues with international wires of large amounts in future or present? You know, that's so hard to say, and it depends on your bank and where you're at. We have seen a lot of clients struggling to get wires out of their banks, but that's just, it makes it more apparent than ever that banks are controlling. They don't want you to take your funds out of their bank because they want to keep using it. So they'll send it to the fraud department, and then it sits there for a week, and then, back and forth, and then finally their wire gets to us. But it can be a struggle, but it's just a sign that it's more important than ever to get those funds that are just sitting in your bank account out of the banking system. All right. And then Oaktree has another question. So it is, do you have international wholesalers connection for someone to sell coin collections to them locally in various countries in Asia? Oaktree, thank you for asking that question. It's something that Zang Enterprises does not do currently. We do not have wholesalers internationally. It's why we don't currently ship international. We don't have anybody set up outside. However, it's not something that we're not looking forward to doing. I can't speak too much of where we're at with that, but I can say that it's something that is definitely a dream of ours. As soon as we have any news or changes on that, you will be the first to know, YouTube. I'm telling you right now, we are really looking forward to getting that available because we want to make it easy for everyone across the globe to have access to sound money. So, whether that's liquidating or buying. So definitely we're looking into that. And as soon as we have any updates, I promise you will know as soon as possible. All right. Our next question is from Twisted Player 73. Would you say buying 1 gram a week and saving them until I collect enough to sell to buy collectible coins? Thanks for your input and keep up the good work. This is, it's such a great idea. I would definitely recommend getting into 1 gram a week if that is the best situation for you. If you would rather do that than saving, putting money aside. Again, you would want to do that safely. And do you want to keep it in the bank until you have those funds? So I totally understand, the consideration there to get into the bullion, which if that's the best place you're at with your income and your expenses, etc., then sure. And then you can do a conversion with us. We are big on that. I mean, I've had clients who needed to purchase a vehicle for her son, within the next year, and we made sure that she had the bullion to get that liquidated quickly because it's still a long-term hold, but not as long because there's no premium on that. There's no buyback spread on bullion, so she could easily get into the bullion quickly, sell that, and then convert whatever she didn't use into the collectible after. Absolutely. If that's the best case scenario for you, then I would definitely recommend it. However, I would always stress that you should work with a strategy specialist before you make that decision. Do your own due diligence. Make sure that you understand, what we offer, what you need. Don't just purchase something that you think you could need. A lot of other retailers, I will say, can put you into something with a massively high premium that you don't need, and that probably won't liquidate for that kind of a price. So I would definitely do your own due diligence, talk to a strategy specialist, and really walk through what your goals and what your needs are. And if that's buying 1 gram a week and saving those up until you convert into, the amount of a collectible coin, which right now, like a $20 Liberty Mint State 62 is running around, at the base of $5,000. So I get that that can be a strenuous cost for some. So I would definitely talk to a strategy specialist again and walk through that. All right. Our next question again from Colleen. She says, do you charge Arizona tax when purchasing from Zang Enterprises? Simple answer is no, we don't. Arizona doesn't consider precious metals the taxable item. So no, we don't. However, if you are living in Arizona but you're shipping elsewhere, there may be a tax involved because the tax is only charged for the states depending on where they're getting delivered to. So it's all about where you're delivering to, where you're shipping to. So whatever that shipping address that you provide is, that's the one that matters. And we are able to help you out with that. We've got a list, and we always are updating that to make sure that everybody is, that understands if there's going to be taxes or not. But with our new website that's coming out soon, we will be listing that in our education section so that you will be able to do the research. However, I want to bring it back around to this. We are not tax advisors. We are not accountants. So I would always recommend you go to your state's page and look at the tax laws in your location, wherever you're delivering the item to, as well as speaking to an accountant on the sales tax on that. Okie dokie. The next one is all about health. I cannot do appointments during the day. Do you have availability for after 4 p.m. Pacific? Thank you so much for asking this question. We don't have them available to book on your own. However, our strategy specialists try to be as accommodating as possible to all of our clients across the board. So wherever you are, we have clients that are international that we've made appointments readily available for, but you will have to call in or send us an email, shoot us a text to your strategy specialist or their assistant to get something booked. Whether you just, give our reception a call. If it's after hours, we do have an external receptionist that will take a message, just ask to be assigned to someone, and then they will get you booked for some time after 4 p.m. Pacific, because absolutely you too should have access to the information to do your own due diligence, to make the best decisions for yourself and for your family, no matter what time it is. So give us a call. Next question's from Oak Tree. They said, when the liquidity dries up at reset, who and why would anyone have money to buy my rare gold coin? Is it going to be the rich exchanging their simple gold coins into rare coins? I think Lynette can definitely speak to this question, given her studies and her, lifelong history that she knows about this. But I will say that yes, I think there's always a market, especially for the collectible gold. But you have to remember, when Lynette talks about those patterns, and if you haven't heard her before, I'll find a link and we'll add it in the description below after this live. But she talks about the patterns that happen and the phases when a reset is happening. There's the, there's the awareness stage, and then there's the panic stage, etc. So when the reset happens, that's a panic stage, I believe. Or usually right before, and when people run to buy gold, even if it's, rising through the roof. But I think that even if, I don't think that liquidity ever truly dries up, because think of it like art, right? Like think of it as collectible art. There's always a market for that, even when economies have, currency collapses. There's always somebody who's looking for that. And because gold has fundamental, value, it's got applied uses. It can be used as a collectible. It never truly loses its value. So I think there will always be a market for it, whether, an elite didn't hop on the bandwagon before, but now they are when it's in the panic stage, then yes, I think there will always be a market for that. says, are you planning on listing assets that can be purchased directly from your website without needing to call in? That's a great question, Silver Surf Studio. And yes, we will have on our website that's coming out. We are looking to launch that within the next couple months. Yes, we will. We have all of our inventory listed on there, and there will be pictures of those items. However, there will be some, especially the bullion, you can definitely purchase on your own. Our long-term holds, our pre-1933 collectible coins, we really want to walk you through those to make sure that you understand what you're getting into and make sure that the price is right based on market value, et cetera. So those you won't be able to purchase those on your own. That I'm aware of right now. Things may change in the future, but currently that's what we're setting up to do. So yes, stay tuned. As soon as we have a concrete date for the website, I'll definitely put that out there for everyone to know so that they can go visit. We will definitely want you all to take a look at it. We want people, right now we're in a testing and tweaking phase. So making sure that it looks the right way that we want it to, make sure it has the content that you guys want and that you need for your education, as well as user capability. We want everyone to be able to use it user friendly, really, so that anybody can take a look at it, whether you're younger or computers are a little bit more of a struggle for you. We just want it to be a breeze when you're walking through our website. So again, we're in the tweaking and testing phase. So as soon as we have a concrete date, I'll let you know. But yes, the assets will be on there and they will be listed. Alrighty. Our next question is from Oak Tree, and it says, I understand the exit strategy, but I don't understand when it's said that the rich will always buy gold. I would like to understand this. Why would they wait until gold is high and not now? I think basically what I recently just said, like a couple questions back, again, I think there will always be a market for it. I do think if they're not buying gold right now, they're definitely missing out. But if the ultra wealthy always have the funds and, they're all in the markets and stocks and bonds, annuities, what have you, or private equity, et cetera, that's much riskier. And if that crashes and they didn't buy into the gold, well, they're definitely missed out. You're totally right. I think they are. I think they're holding gold now, but if they're not, they certainly will then, because they will still have the means to do so. It just will make, the price will be so high that it will make it harder for, normal citizens to get their hands on something, because like Lynette always says, the rising price of gold indicates a failing currency. So when we get to that point, gold will skyrocket. And, that's the panic version, because people won't be able to get their hands on it because it will be unattainable price-wise. So, I wouldn't understand why they would wait, but I will say that the elites make the laws and, they do it to better protect themselves. They're going to get into those collectible coins, et cetera. So I would definitely say there will always be a market for it. They're going to look out for those things.
I don't think that they would also necessarily just begin after the reset. Like, I think that they're, the ultra wealthy understand money. They understand how wealth moves and shifts. And so they're probably accumulating now. And then when the reset happens, the people that have traditional wealth or income, like the purchasing power will go away, and then they're no longer able to buy the gold. But the people that have the money will, and it will be an advantage for them because they have cornered the market, so to speak, and being the only ones to purchase gold. So I don't, just to your point that, like, if they have the funds and the capital to do so, they're going to continue to do it. That will put them that much farther ahead.
Right.
Once the reset kind of, shifts out into whatever that will look like after the fact. So.
Yeah. Totally agree. All right. Our next question is from Joe Cavey. Sorry if I said that wrong, Joe, but he asks, what is a 10-ounce Canadian silver price? So I would say we looked into this a little bit ago, and I looked at the price, and spot is ever changing, ever moving. So this could be inaccurate now, but I did check at noon for you, Joe, and it was $502.44, and we do have that available currently. So if you want to give us a call and you're looking for that bullion silver for 10-ounce piece, then give us a call, and one of our strategy specialists can help you out with that. All right. Our next question is from Oak Tree. Thank you, Oak Tree. She says, or he, sorry, they say, does Zang Enterprises buy bullion, gold, and silver bought elsewhere? Is there a spread on those, or are they bought at the spot price? Technically, there's no spread, and that's such a great question because we want to make liquidations possible for anyone, everywhere. So there is no spread. It is the current bid price for that item. However, which is based on spot. However, for gold and silver, you didn't purchase from Zang Enterprises because we are offering that service to you. We do apply a 2% fee for that. But yes, we will buy that back from you, and we will cover the insurance for that shipment, which is huge because if you're liquidating a bunch of silver, I mean, that stuff is heavy. So yes, we will do that for you, and we'll cover that insurance for you and make sure it gets to us safely. And so you can rest easy knowing that you are doing the right thing, whether you're doing a conversion or a liquidation, we can help you out with that. All right. Our next question is from Elder Joshua. Says, what makes you think gold will go to its fundamental value during most people's lifetime? That's a wonderful question, and one that, based on where we're at, and this is, Jessica, I think we should definitely write this down for Lynette because she can really speak to it based on her studies of currency life cycles and where we're at with, $37 trillion in debt. Our global debt is just compound. I mean, it's insane. And the finite amount of gold, and the United States dollar has been the global reserve, the world reserve currency for so long. And we're well beyond the 80 years that a currency's lifetime usually lasts. I think that we have put so many band-aids on our currency that at this point, everything that they try to do, it just, the scratch keeps getting bigger and bigger, and there's no turning back at this point. So yeah, I think we're headed towards a Venezuela, towards a Weimar Republic. I just recently did a video on this, on the history of all these different resets. And Lynette would tell you that it usually takes a while for, you to see what the final currency ends up being, whether that's, 2 zeros at first, then 3 more, or what have you, depending on, what happens with our government and what they choose to do. But I think that based on the debt, to get rid of all of that, I just think it's happening, and it's happening soon. I don't know when it will actually hit the fundamental value, but the reset is coming, which will make the gold price skyrocket. And I'm sorry, I can't answer that question in further depth. I don't have a prediction of when that would happen, but I'll ask Lynette for sure to comment on that when she gets back for her live in 2 weeks, to make sure that she can add a little bit more insight for that. But thank you, Elder Joshua. All right, our next question is from Pibe Rikelme. Sorry if I said that wrong. Pibe, I'm sorry. All right, you said, do you provide services with setting up a precious metals IRA? Great question. And we do have a partnership. We are a approved dealer with Gold Star Trust Co. And yes, we will totally walk you through that. We will assist you. Their system is so easy to use. You can actually apply, to either transfer funds over from a regular, a Roth IRA or what have you, or an in-kind transfer, it would be essentially. You can set that up, or you can, any account that you're funding a precious metals IRA from, you can set up online. Actually, they've got a whole system. You can either do it via PDF and send an email to them, or you can do it on their DocuSign. It's so simple, but yes, we can walk you through it, whether you'd like to do it electronically or fill out the paperwork. But give our strategy specialist a call. Let's see if that's the best option for you. Again, I would urge you to look into holding privately in your own home or in a secure private vault, because again, you can only hold bullion, gold and silver in a precious metals IRA, and it's all traceable. So I would definitely, and again, by design, so I would recommend giving us a call. Let's see what your options are. If that is the best option for you and that's what you choose to do regardless, then we will walk you through it. All right, our next question is from low blood pressure, I'm assuming. Says, why do you sell bullion if you always recommend collectibles? That's an awesome question. We want to make gold and silver available to everybody. And sometimes it's easier to get into the bullion, or if that's your preference, who are we to say that you can't do that, right? We want to make gold and silver available to you in all avenues, but bullion still has a place in your strategy. It fills part of the barterable section, and if you need quick liquidity for something, that's your first coin I would recommend. Like, say you had an American Gold Eagle, liquidate that first. Let's hold on to your other options longer, so that when those extremely rise in value, then we can liquidate that later so that you're better off then. They have a place. And if you're going to, say, the store to purchase eggs, or going to a local farmer to purchase eggs, you want to have some of those smaller denominations, whether it is a common date collectible or a raw coin. You want to have the smaller pieces, and even more so, I would say the junk silver, which is the pre-1965 constitutional silver that has 90% silver in it before they changed that. It definitely fills that spot for barterability. You want to have those small denominations. They're not going to have change for you. So it's good to have those smaller options available. Definitely. Great question. Eclair Trio says, what does the VP of operations do on a daily basis at Zang Enterprises? Do you do market analysis, or what does the job encompass? Oh my goodness, that is a loaded question. Thank you for asking that. There are so many things. I help with the sales team to make sure they have all the resources that they need on a day-to-day basis, as well as our other operations departments that encompasses finance and fulfillment. I work with our other vendors, if we are using a third party for any, reason. I also work directly with all of our third party platforms. So like programs that we use, like is our phone system working? I'm working on building out the website with our team. So there's so much involved. I also make videos, usually once a week. Right now I've scaled back a little bit because I am spending time doing these lives. But yeah, I make smaller, short kind of educational videos that are usually around 10 minutes or under, that kind of are an elementary stepping stone into Lynette's videos. Like, I just did a video recently that was currency versus money, because we get them confused so often. And because Lynette talks about that all the time, maybe we need the elementary breakdown of what that means. What does fiat mean, et cetera? So I do things like that. I've been working with Lynette for almost 5 years now, and I've learned so much from her. And when I first started, I was an assistant, and I just kind of put my ear to the ground and tried to figure out, like, how does shipping work? And how can we help our clients better with better access to all of the gold and silver? I mean, there's just so many things day to day. We go through production planning, and it's a lot, but it's really, truly magical and so fun. And I appreciate you asking about that, but there's a lot that goes into it. And I know I'm forgetting like half my job right now. All right. Our next question is from Miramar. She says, or he says, "Hi, Emerald. I can't afford gold at this point and wonder what you think of collectible slab silver to maximize strategy options." Thank you. Great question. I don't know what silver you're referring to as collectible. I think, again, silver always has its place in your strategy, definitely in the barterable section. I wouldn't say that it's going to fill any of the other sections of your strategy. For barterability, it's an option, but I would give us a call because there are different sizes, denominations of the gold that you can purchase. Maybe look into getting some of the fractional raw gold or the common dates because those are much more affordable, or a lower grade collectible coin. If you're not thinking you can get into the mint state $62 $5,000 coins, totally understand that, but let's start you off somewhere. Even if it's getting you into some bullion gold, or the raw or the collectible, I would or common date, excuse me. There are smaller options. But yeah, I mean, I would even just start with the junk silver, as I mentioned just recently. Let's get you some dimes, and let's get you some quarters and some half dollars. That pre-1965 collectible silver is where it would start for sure. Let's get like 50 faced dimes. Let's get you started. I mean, it all depends on what else you're looking to protect, right? Because hopefully we'll eventually get there to protect those items as well. But having silver as opposed to having no gold or silver, I would say you're off to a good start. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that Lynette talks about the slabbed silver.
Oh, good.
She says it doesn't really make sense to her to have the slabbed collectible silver coins unless you are an actual coin collector, that is your hobby.
Right.
To her, silver has a very specific purpose to be barterable for groceries and things like that. And so to her, it just doesn't make sense to spend the extra.
There's a high premium on that stuff. Yeah.
For if that's your intent, right, is to use it as a barterable position. But
right.
If you are a collector and that's the route you want to go and you're into the coins and the history and things like that, and that's part of your hobby, then that's the purpose of buying the collectible slabbed. But for transactionally, she says it doesn't make sense to her, but if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do.
Absolutely. And again, we're here to walk you through that. And if that's something that you're tunnel vision on, we're going to help you figure that out. But definitely give us a call again. I say that after every question. I apologize, you guys, but it's so important. And our strategy specialists, again, they're trained regularly with Lynette. They sit down in a sales meeting once a week. They get to talk to Lynette all throughout the week, but each of them get a one-on-one so frequently that they get to walk through any questions that they have. That's a great question that we could talk about, the history of certain slab silver and talk to her about why that would benefit any certain client. And again, for, all different reasons, different people have different needs and different goals and different hobbies, like Josh just mentioned. And if that's something that's important to you, we're going to sit there and listen and make sure that you have access to that. Alrighty. Our next question is from low blood pressure. Again, little Lynette. Did you model your mantra after Spanish pieces of 8? No, we didn't. The mantra that's a great question. I don't know what the Spanish pieces of 8 are, and I'd love, to look into that. But I don't know anything about that. However, it is the 8 pieces that Lynette built her mantra for as she was, diving into what pieces she needed to become self-sufficient, and should there be a currency collapse or worse, she wanted to know what she needed to make sure, but not that I know of. And Josh looks like he's bringing it up for us. Let's see.
Yeah, so I looked it up because I was interested in what that was.
But so it
says that the Spanish piece of 8, or real de a ocho, peso duro o peso fuerte, is basically just an old Spanish coin that was
that's so interesting. The Catholic monarchs.
Yeah, so like you were saying, it has nothing to do with this, but this is an interesting bit of history to look at.
Definitely.
So
I'm so going to read up on this later. Thank you for sending that to us, low blood pressure. And again, it doesn't have anything to do with Lynette, but I'm sure we'd be interested to learn about those coins for sure. I mean, something to do with the Catholic monarchy in Spain, I'm assuming. All right. But again, let me go through that mantra here, and I'm on live air, so I may butcher it because I'm nervous, but we've got food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. Those are our 8 pieces. And again, Lynette built those as she was going through to making sure that she could do the best for herself and her family, to make sure that she was self-sufficient. She'd be like, okay, well, what do I need next? What do I need after this? And what do I have after that? So she, just like she's got her, her urban farm, making sure that she's got food and things she could put on the table, and the wealth preservation, that's the coins, that's the bar. Well, she doesn't have any bars, but no bullion for Lynette. But yeah, it's all those pieces to make sure that she's self-sufficient. But great question. All right, our next question is from Richard Wizardry. What effect on the economy would a stopping uncontrollable school spending would be when all the school bonds default and are found to be fraudulent? That's a great question. I'm not sure I fully understand. Regardless, I mean, any bonds that are found to be totally fraudulent would just be horrible. But for anyone who participated, let me write that one down and have Lynette get back to you on that when she gets back in 2 weeks. So Richard, great question. I'm going to have Lynette speak to that one. I don't know too much about bonds besides any past investments I had made, that I had some bonds, but I can't speak to that. So let me have her get back to that when she's back from Cambodia. Our next question is from Gus Guerreros, and I apologize if I butchered that. He says, are proof 70 gold coins worth investing in? Another great question. I don't usually recommend proofs, but that's something that, depending on your strategy and what you're looking to get into, or Josh or Jessica, I don't know if you guys can comment to what Lynette normally says about proofs, but I wouldn't normally use those in the strategy. I know a lot of our clients have them, but I don't know too much about proofs.
Yeah, I don't even recall her talking about the proofs. Like I don't know what that is, so I would be interested to ask Lynette about that and what her opinion is, because that's the first time I've seen that.
Yeah, and I know she has spoken about them before, only because we do have clients who have mentioned it. But let me jot this one down too, and I know our strategy specialists can for sure speak to that as well, because they're looking at what our clients are, trying to purchase and what they're interested in. So, and what they're adding to their strategies, because again, when you build your strategy with us, whether you purchase something from us or you've got a portfolio elsewhere, before you ever buy, we're going to make sure that those things are loaded into your strategy, so that we can recommend what's best for you. Now, we're not going to put you into something that we wouldn't recommend based on what you currently hold, whether we think that you should liquidate for conversion into something else. That's always an option, but your strategy gets built that time that you get to spend. So you're going to have a one-on-one consultation. You're going to talk through what you currently hold. If you're comfortable, you're not required to do that. The more detail we have about you and what you currently hold and what you're looking to protect, the better and more detailed your strategy will be, based on what you're holding and, like I said, what you need to protect and the weight in fundamental value that you would need to protect those things. We're going to walk through all of that before we, ever try to get you to just make a sale, because again, you're the one that needs to protect it, and you need to be able to protect your family and build a legacy at the end of the day. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and stop here. I hope you found this useful, and I hope that, those of you that I wasn't able to answer your question, I promise you I will relay those to Lynette, and when she gets back, I'll make sure, and Jessica, she's got them noted down for us, so when she gets back, we'll have her comment on those for you. But if you like this content, stay tuned. Make sure to go ahead and like this video, subscribe, share it with, friends and family. We'd love to be able to answer more of your questions. But until next time, you guys, stay safe and stay smart.